Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. I hope you are all doing fine. Today I am going to explain the poem Twickenham Garden by John Donne. If you have not checked my previous explanations of the good motto and the canonization, I will provide the links in the description box below. So without further ado, let us begin. Before we go into the discussion of the poem in detail, we should know something about the context. Twickenham Garden. The title refers to Twickenham Park. This is the house and the garden of Lucy, Countess of Bedford. He is a married patroness of John Donne's poetry. Here, Donne describes her garden as well as her, and he glorifies his love for this person, Lucy, the Countess of Bedford. In this poem, we see that there is an ironic treatment of the common patriarchal idea. Here, a lover who is suffering from unrequited love is mocked by the forces of nature, and the lover feels ill treated by the treatment of his beloved. Let us begin with the poem. Stanza 1. Blasted with shies and surrounded with tears, hither I come to seek the spring, and at mine eyes and at mine ears received such balm as else cure everything. But oh, self-traitor, I do bring the spider love, which transubstantiates all and can convert manna to gall, and that this place may thoroughly be thought true paradise, I have the serpent plot. We see in this stanza there are a number of biblical allusions. At the very beginning, we see the garden. The garden can be a reference to the Garden of Paradise or to the Garden of Gethsemane, where Christ suffered his last hours of agony before his crucifixion. He suffered his last hour of agony in self doubt or self criticism. This idea of self doubt or self criticism is prevalent within this stanza. Here, the poetic voice comes into the Twickenham Garden in order to find solace from his suffering from the unrequited love. And the garden belongs to the beloved of his. And the torture the poetic voice feels, that is referred to by the words from the semantic field of battle. He is blasted with shies and surrounded with tears. So these words from the semantic field of battle shows how the poetic voice is attacked or tortured by his own emotions. He comes in the garden in order to find solace within the nature. He is suffering from the winter. His mood is like the winter. The blasted with shies and surrounded with tears, this may refer to the wintry rain and snowstorm. And he comes into the garden in order to seek spring. The all-consuming nature, the beauty of the garden is described in the parallelism of language at mine eyes and at mine ears. This shows the overwhelming beauty which can be sensed by all the sensory organs. The poetic voice thinks that the beauty of the garden will offer a cure all. It will work as a balm to his mind. But he cannot enjoy the beauty of the garden. His self doubt or self criticism is debarring him from enjoying the beauty. And that is very well conveyed by the exclamatory but oh. He calls himself a self-traitor. He refers that his love is a spider-like love. Now, during the Elizabethan or Jacobean time, people used to believe that spiders had the ability to transform everything they ate into gall. And he uses another word, transubstantiate. This refers to Eucharist bread and wine transformed into Christ's body and blood. Here, the poet inverses this idea. He says that the whatever beauty or whatever the poetic voice sees, that is transforming, rather transubstantiating, just as a spider does, into something poisonous, a gall. The reference of manna is the miraculous bread that was provided to the Israelites while they traversed the wilderness. It also alludes to the nourishment provided during the Eucharist. But again, it is transformed into something bitter, a gall. This religious symbolism is carried forward when the poet refers that he has brought a serpent into the garden. The garden here refers to the Garden of Paradise, and the serpent is the devil who put the seed of temptation in human beings. Here, Donne refers to the poetic voice as someone who wants to convert the paradise of Twickenham Garden into something, into a place of mistrust and temptation. And it is possible because of its result of unrequited love and damnable desires. Here, the th sound, th, th sound, in the line that this place may thoroughly be thought. This alliteration of th, th sound, refers to the hissing sound of a serpent. Let us move on to the second stanza. It were wholesomer for me that winter did benight the glory of this place, and that grave frost did forbid these trees to laugh and mock me to my face. But that I may not disgrace, endure, nor yet leave loving love. Let me some senseless piece of this place be. Make me a mandrake, so I may grow here, or a stone fountain weeping out my ear. Here, the poet invokes the winter. He gets a bit angry that the beauty of the garden is mocking the lifeless nature of the poet. The poet feels lifeless because he is suffering from unrequited love. He now wants that the winter comes and take over the spring of the beautiful garden because the garden is mocking him, the dead nature inside of him. The trees laugh at him. The vitality of the garden mocks the lifeless nature of him, and he exists in this lifeless nature because of his unrequited love. Here, the garden is personified. Donne says that the poetic voice wishes to avoid this disgrace of unrequited love. Yet he cannot stop loving. He wants to remain there in the garden because this is the garden of his beloved. He wants to remain there to be close to his beloved. So he wants to be a mandrake. A mandrake is a mythical tree which cries and screams when it is pulled out of the soil. So he wants to transform into a mandrake within the garden and grow there. And this reference can be very well asserted because the scream of the mandrake can very well mirror the suffering inside of the mind of the poetic voice. The poetic voice doesn't want to feel the pain he is feeling. That is why he wants to transform himself into something lifeless. He wants to transform himself into a stone fountain. Stone is a conventional symbol of not feeling anything or a symbol of lifelessness. The poetic voice wants to transform himself into a stone fountain because he wants the ending of his feeling sad and despair because of his unrequited love. This alliteration of L, leave loving love, let me. This alliteration of L shows that he wants to remain longer within the garden, near his love. He wants to transform himself into a stone fountain, and his tears will be the water of the fountain. This is a very symbolic in nature. Let us move on to the third stanza. Hither with crystal fials lovers come, and take my tears, which are love's wine, and try your mistress's tears at home, for all are false that taste not just like mine. Alas, hearts do not in tears shine, nor can you more judge woman's thoughts by tears than by her shadow what she wears. O perverse sex, where none is true but she, who's therefore true, because her truth kills me. In the third stanza, the poet carries on with the previous conceit of the stone fountain. The poetic voice here wants to be transformed into a stone fountain, and he wants his tears, the fountain water, to be taken by the lovers from all around the world. And this water should be taken in crystal vials. This shows that this water is very precious and hence it should be stored within something precious and decorative, just like crystal vials. The poet urges all the lovers in the world to come and take the water from this fountain, his tears, and then at home match the tears of their mistress. If the tears do not taste the same, then the mistress's love is false. Here, the poetic voice says that the women cannot be trusted because women do not wear their hearts on their faces. Eyes are usually the window to the soul, but in the case of the women, the hearts are not reflected by the eyes. Hearts here used as a metonymy. Heart suggests the feelings felt by the heart. So he says that the lovers, no matter how they take, no matter they take the tears from the fountain and match with the tears of their mistresses, but the tears of the mistresses will not tell the truth because women by nature are deceitful. And this is conveyed by the simile of women's tears being as unreliable as the treatment of her emotions as the shadow is of her clothing. But here the poetic voice says that even though all the women of the world do not show their true emotions through their eyes, only there is one woman who is exceptional. That is the beloved of this poetic voice. She is only truthful to her husband. And as the poetic voice is not her husband, and that is why the truth of the beloved kills the poetic voice. The poetic voice's feelings of unrequited love keeps on. This poem could be argued as an attempt to please Dunn's patroness Lucy of Bedford, and not a misogynistic outpouring of self-pity. Donne devotes much of the poem to describe the beauty of the garden of his patroness, and he establishes that his patroness is different from any other woman because of his faithfulness to her husband. Let us talk about the structure of the poem. The poem is divided into three stanzas, and there are 9 lines in each stanzas. The rhyme scheme is ABAB, BCC, DD. The meter is more sometimes tetrameter and sometimes pentameter. But the stressing pattern is irregular. This irregular stressing pattern may convey the disturbed psyche of the poetic voice. I hope this explanation will help you in the preparation of this poem. For more videos like this, keep an eye on my channel. Thank you. Bye bye.